Again, we want to welcome everybody here today, and it makes me smile to see you all. We want to kind of look back at where we came from and remember the ones that were here before. And my dad, before he passed away, I gave him some topics to give me a little story by, and they're just little stories. But this kind of tells you about the name, changing the name of the German Valley. This used to be German Valley. So this is what he wrote. This is what I typed up. He said, the name of the school that I attended was called German Valley. The name caused a problem during World War I. Okay. Okay. The name of the school that I attended to was German Valley. The name caused a problem during World War I, to the point that some people were very hostile. Dad was confronted by a group of hostile men from the surrounding community. The men came to our house and asked for my dad, which would have been Arthur, and my mom, Nettie, and she said that she did not know where Arthur was. He was at his sister's, Hannah Hilty's house, which is across the road here, was across the road. So on his way home, these men met him. They demanded that they change the name of the schoolhouse and the church. Dad said that he would, which was Arthur. So in a few days, it was changed to Valley Center. That was in the year 1919. The church at the time was a German Hebrew church. The community people continued to speak German for many more years. This was mainly the older people in the community. The younger folks were speaking mostly English. But in the homes, German was spoken by all. My first prayer, I had to speak German to many of my folks. The Bible was read in our home in German as I was growing up. The prejudices gradually disappeared, everyone living as neighbors. I remember that one fellow in Deepwater was radically German, and another fellow was just as radically Swiss. It was hard for some to break ties with the homeland, but the German community was very loyal to the United States. They bought more Liberty bonds per capita than in most places, as remembered by Amos Neuenschwander. So there's several here, and you all can look at this. One of them was the year that I was born, and the one we just read, changing the German Valley name. And Christmas Day, we can all think about that as we grew up. Saturday night, one-room schoolhouse. The people that influenced me in my growing up. My feelings on important things. This may make you guys think about what we need to go home and write down for the next generation. But we kind of continue with our generation things, and it goes to another generation, and I appreciate that, but this is how this goes. I was given by Olga Haverland a quilt top several years ago, and she told me that she had gone to Esther Tompkins' sale, and Grandma Neuenschwander, Nettie Neuenschwander, had a lot of the quilt pieces there. So she made that up, so it came from Grandma Nettie to Esther, and then I ended up getting the quilt top. Well, I don't know why she gave it to me, because I can't do anything but staple and hot glue things, I think. But anyway, I had it. But now we got another generation of it. Debbie, where are you? Come up here. I gave this to Debbie because she's talented in so many ways, and I am so happy that she got this. So she has many generations of quilt pieces in there, and another generation is now going to have this quilt. And I think it's beautiful, and she did such a wonderful job. So this is how we take things into the next generation, is giving and remembering. Thank you, Debbie, so much.
It was nice of you.
And there's a lot of things to look at here. If anybody has any questions, don't ask me. I'll probably make up some stories if you have it. But when you all came in, well, Betsy, first of all, Betsy Garrett is a great picture taker. And this is pictures from Switzerland she has taken, and we have stayed there many times in this area. There's 3 pictures here, and when you all came in, we check marked off so many that came in, like 5 or 6 and whatever else. So the first one actually goes to Sean. Goes to Sean. And the second one went to Anne Marie. How about that? And Terry, where is Terry? There, this is for you, Terry.
I have carriers for 2 of them, tubes for 2.
Okay, there's tubes for 2 of them. This is, and I know you've been here before. There, yes, you can, for sure, for sure. All right, let's go over here. Deanne. Okay, draw. Just have. Go ahead. Is there 1 in there? 1.
Kids.
We got to take one.
Yes.
Dog shy.
Here, buddy.
Billy Neuenschwander. Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
Well, give it to Becky. Becky.
Becky, right here.
This says Neuenschwander Cousins, Deepwater, Missouri, and on the back it says it's great to be Swiss, and there's a Swiss country there. Another one.
Isaac Neuenschwander.
There you go, Betty. You're welcome.
Jane.
Is this one in here? Is there
Huh?
one in here?
Yes, yes, yes.
John C.
No, I saw that. She's made
Leon. Leon. Four.
Parker.
Yay! I don't know where that. You got the empty one? I was trying to. It's okay. It was for Billy, you know.
Yes, I know.
Emily.
Okay, one more.
My mom put my name in there after I did, so I had 2 chances.
Well, but you.
Another one.
Oh, okay, John.
Kathy.
Where'd Kathy go? Oh, there she is. Yeah, the empty box.
I don't want
This is Bruce.
No, no. Doris Jean. There you go.
Doris Jean.
We'll probably have you go back over there.
Like my kids love here.
Don't you love this?
Sisters and Mary get together and talk. Got old times.
Where's the sack at?
And so I would love
Debbie
for
put
the
it over
cousins
there.
to come forward and have a seat, and we're gonna get you on video if you don't mind, because I think back to the recordings that we had.
I don't know where the sack went.
Dance this height, you guys can come forward.
Well, I don't see it.
Come on forward. Yes, Marm. Okay, so we have all of the Neuenschwander cousins that were here. This is August 2025, and so I thought it would be great if we could just kind of hear some stories of old, maybe tell on your cousin kind of thing, things that you remember.
Say who you are and who you're.
Oh yes, I'm Stephanie Neuenschwander. I'm wife of Jim Neuenschwander, which is the son of Larry Neuenschwander. So I just wanted to get these guys together and kind of reminisce and hear some stories that they have to tell. I've been told a few stories throughout, maybe some things to ask. So maybe I'll start off there and then we'll just see where this goes. Because if I know you guys, it'll go down this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole and we'll come up with a big old story. So somebody told me to ask something of Kathy. I'm going to ask Kathy this question first. So let's just get the ball started here. Something about ribbons on horses.
Deanne was in on that.
I think it was a proud moment.
It was really proud. Especially when we got home.
Tell us about the ribbons on the horses.
Deanne and I would ride on Sunday afternoon because sometimes, you get home from church, you can do that.
Speak up, Kathy.
And this was Deanne's idea. No! We used to do crazy things. We'd go back to that pond they've got and swim the horses across and just do things a little dangerous. Well, it got to the afternoon and there'd been a big funeral at church a few days before. And it was Deanne's idea. We went to the cemetery and there were flowers and ribbons and all over the grave. And Deanne said, "Let's decorate our horses." Kathy did too. I don't know whose idea it was, but boy. So we had ribbons hanging on their tails and their manes and flowers and their bridles and then we went home. And Mom and Dad were in the milk barn. I rode in the driveway and all hell broke loose.
I had to take them back.
You had to take yours back?
Yes, and try and tie it on.
I didn't get to do that.
So what was the punishment there? Was there a punishment?
I can't remember.
They never punished her.
Okay.
Only we did.
My dad was pretty good about that. These guys got whipped. They needed it, but
Didn't do any good either, did it?
But one time I did something that was unforgivable. I can't even remember what it was. And Dad took me down to the barn and said, "I'm going to give you a whipping." So I went down there in the shed on the south side of that big barn, and he said, "Now listen, I'm not going to whip you this time. Don't do it again."
I rest my case.
You act like you're crying all the way to the house.
I was going to say, now, Jim and Ron, you guys might be able to tell a story about Kathy and a windmill.
Yes.
Was there a
They
story
tried to
about
kill
that?
me.
That was another stupid thing she did.
Tell us about it. Jim or Ron?
Ron and I were outside, and Kathy, and
There's a bunch of other kids.
there was a mulberry tree that's pretty close to the windmill, and we were messing around with climbing the tree and doing stuff that kids do.
Talk louder.
And while that was going on, the Clinton Eye reporter the newspaper reporter from Clinton came down to visit Mom, who was writing about what's happened in the High Center community and putting it in the Clinton Eye. Well, at that time, while Mom was talking to her, Ron and I talked sis in the Clyde.
I really wasn't involved.
Anyway, we talked to her into climbing the windmill. So she climbed to the top of the windmill.
The first step was this high up. They held me up there.
So it had to be 40 feet high. It was a big windmill. And but the reporter came out and saw that. Mom came out and saw that. And so the thing started happening.
guys, well, the story that was in the Clinton Eye, I think, Mom has that.
Oh, you made the newspaper.
did.
I don't think I understood that
And
part.
there was club at my house, and there was other cousins and people around when they did that.
And the other thing that happened is we have cousins in California then, and it appeared in one of the California papers. No kidding.
These brothers tried to kill their sister. Mom, I couldn't get down because my legs were too short. Mom climbed up there. And I can kind of remember that. And she stayed on the outside of me, and
How old were you, Kathy?
Five.
Five.
That's what it said in the
Success.
newspaper. I don't know. Didn't work, did it?
You obeyed.
I don't know about that. I was young. I'm sure there wasn't any punishment. But
So
Did
who
they
was-
punish her, Ron? Did they punish her?
Punished him.
Did you, Jim?
He's
No.
got a bad memory.
No, I don't think they punished her at all. I think they were glad to see her down.
Well, I bet that's right, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So now let's go to, who is the oldest cousin here? Ruth Ann. So Ruth Ann, what are some of your first memories of Grandma and Grandpa Neuenschwander?
When we moved back here from Charleston, Indiana, when I was 5, I had already gone to kindergarten in Indiana. And it was, we got to live in a big house. That was something, you know, for a 5-year-old.
So did you live with them then for a period of time? Is that what you're saying?
Grandpa and Grandma moved over in the little house
Okay.
behind, and we moved into the big house.
Okay.
But Uncle Ann and Aunt Yvonne lived upstairs in the big house at the same time, so they had to move too.
All right, this one's for Bob. What were some of your daily chores you had to do?
Well, Dad and Mom worked me pretty hard. Deanne didn't have to do anything. Sarah and Sydney, I mean, they was like little princes, you know. I mean,
That's because we were.
Stay on point.
we built cows. Dad built a 220 or 40-foot chicken house in 51, and he had a contract with Lipscomb, is that right, in Clinton, Missouri? Hatchery?
Lindstrom.
For $1 an egg, $1 a dozen, I'm sorry, $1 a dozen, which was the lowest market was like 19 cents, and they was for broilers. In other words, they hatched, and so that was quite a feat. Three times a day we had to gather eggs. We had, well, there was 2,000 layers in there, and so that was milking cows. I got tired of that, and of course, all the normal chores around the farm. I know, of course, school. I was 6 years old. I got a tricycle for Christmas. Santa Claus brought it to me. The front wheel on it was, I think, 24 inches, I think, you know. So it was a pretty good size tricycle. From the house to the school was a mile. I rode the tricycle in first grade to school. I'm so proud of that. Well, Roy Lee and I don't know who, some of the big boys there, they hid it. I couldn't find it. They was mean to me. My dad told me, he said, son, if you get in any trouble whatsoever at school, you will tell me, and you better tell me, and you're going to have a weapon for, you know. Well, I think, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 years went by, I think I averaged 4.5 women's a week. It wasn't pretty. One of the other things I was thinking about was I enjoyed talking to Jim, everybody, I'm sorry, but Jim, we was conversing here. I don't know. I don't know how old we were. We weren't very old. Rod, you was just a little snot.
Probably.
Yeah. Still is, huh? Oh, my word. Well, Dad and Mom, not sure that Dee was even born yet, so that would have been 46.
I'm 5 years younger than
Yeah.
you.
And, so you're 65 now. Yeah, okay.
I like that.
So, I guess Uncle Ferris he had a double barrel shotgun, and it was a 10 gauge.
I have it.
You have it?
I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim wasn't very big. Jim goes in, they're playing cards in there and doing whatever old folks do. And here comes Jim with that shotgun and some ammo, a couple shells. And he said, I want to shoot this thing. And I went, okay. He fired me. Well, he pulled that thing up and shot it. It knocked him way back. Fire came out the end of that barrel. It was dark. A long ways, didn't it, Jim?
It's a black powder shell.
Yeah. Oh, my word. Yeah, something else. No, there was, I left home at a certain point. I did my thing, and then I came back for a period of 5, 6, 7 years. Enjoyed the hell out of it here. I just love Valley Center. And then now I've got some problems, whatever, but things have changed here. Yes, they have changed. But get together. Then, of course, back when I was young, well, some of you can probably confirm with this, you don't believe this, but we didn't have electricity until I was 10 or 11 years old. And we had a battery-powered radio, and we visited our neighbors all the time. And it was good, it was really good.
And that's why you guys can you guys grew up in a time frame where cousins could be cousins and you knew your cousins, and unfortunately that's not the case today, so you guys had the luxury. It's kind of a luxury, yeah.
I had the privilege of being with Ron and Bob and a couple of others. We went down to Larry City. They had a water tower. Oh. And we'd never climbed it. So we had to climb it, but everybody was kind of afraid to climb it, so I started up it.
Yeah.
And when you get to the top, the ladder goes in, and then it swings out like this, and then up like that. So you kind of have to put your hands like this, let loose of your feet, and climb the rest up and flip over the top. Well,
That was dumb too.
he was number 2.
Not me.
Yes, you were. Anyway, we got up there, and we were up there for a while, and then you got to think about getting down. Well, we made it, didn't we, Bob?
Yeah, going up, it wasn't nice, but I could handle it. But when it come time to get down, oh my God, I almost stayed. I mean, I wasn't about to come down.
And what's his name? Who was the sheriff, Larry?
Five kids.
Who was up on the water tower and painted that? Wasn't us, was it?
No, I don't.
You had David with you too, didn't you?
Yeah, David. I don't think Art was.
We painted the bridge at down at, where across the old bridge, where across the Troubadour down there north of Osceola. Remember one night, there was a bunch of us had a bunch of paint cans and.
I think that's a felony.
It's not
Defacing public property, I think that's a
Now, I have a
felony.
question. Larry, were you with Cousins and Frogs? Were you with Cousins when the frog thing happened and the car?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear some stories about some frogs. Go ahead, Larry.
Jim had this real nice Ford Victoria. The roof went back into the trunk. Really nice car and that. We go frog hunting, and
And that's at night.
Howard Tompkins on the bus, he said, "I hear there's some people going frog hunting. They better not be hunting in my pond." Well, he had the biggest ones. Jim,
He lived over by the Carrolls.
yeah, lived over there.
Behind Chloe.
Jim had this nice car, and he dropped us. Who was with me? Who was with us, Jim?
John.
No, I
Yes,
no, I was not with you.
Dropped us off over there in the road, and we hopped the fence and had gigs and went over there at the pond, and we just started hunting. We got one or two in that, and a shotgun blast went off in there. "Get that out of my pond!" And we went running back to the fence, and Jim was nowhere to be seen. He drove off. And he drove around, and he was going to come back and pick us up after we got our frogs. Well, we was real short getting frogs, and we sat out there in the road waiting. Didn't know if Howard was coming with a gun or didn't know what was going on. Finally, Jim come over the hill right there in front of Harold Hillius's, George and Connie's place over there and that. And we hopped in the car, went down at it. We went to some other places too. We got quite a few frogs. Put them in a gunny sack. Threw them in the back of the trunk of that car. Never tied them up or nothing. Got up to Aunt Anna's and started getting them frogs out and couldn't find them. We found a few and dressed them and watched the frogs' legs kick in the pan, and we ate them and that. And Jim went around with his roof down for several days because them frogs, you couldn't get them out. They stuck in that car. And all the things to do to a real nice car like that.
Well, I had to leave that for Ron because I was going to college. He was dating Vicky.
Speaking of that, how many dated their high school sweetheart and married their high school sweetheart? Oh, wow, look at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you guys date in high school?
I was out of school.
Oh, you was out of school.
I was smart.
Okay.
I was out of school already.
So I kind of want to hear, I've heard a little bit of stories. We might get to some prairie stuff here in a little bit, but from the girls' perspective, I always hear the guys' perspective of out doing the prairie and stuff. So when they were out haying the prairie, I know you were a little bit younger.
I was just a small child.
Child, didn't have to do anything.
I was a
No.
princess.
Yes. I heard that about you and Cindy. You both were princesses.
Somebody's gotta do it.
So Jane, do you remember did you guys have any roles to do, like when they were out, like did you help with making the lunches? I always hear there's.
Oh, you mean when they were in the hayfield?
Yeah.
Well,
You were kind of a wee child too.
I was young too, and to this day, every one of my sisters and brothers will say, Jane never had to do anything.
If that's the
but
truth
play
we
the
ever
piano
told you.
and comb her hair. That's all she never had to do anything. So whenever they said, I said, well, I didn't do it because I was playing the piano or combing my hair. I didn't have anything to do with it. So no.
So next question, how many of you learned to play piano? 1, 2, oh look at here. Wow, so did you guys keep it up? Can you?
No, I didn't.
No, not, how about you, Ruth Ann?
I've got too much arthritis in my hands.
Okay, so you had to give it up? Okay.
Jim still takes lessons.
I still fiddle around with
Do you really?
He hadn't learned yet.
I tried to play the piano.
Do you have a goal in mind?
He played the trombone. That's his hobby.
I can remember when Jim couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, too.
Now I sing in the Prestonwood Choir.
That's why you know.
So, Ron, tell me about the baseball days. Because this is a funny story because I didn't realize how much Uncle Dan or Grandpa Dan was involved in baseball, because Jim never played baseball. And then when my kids come up and played baseball, you kind of hear all these stories come out of the woodwork. Tell me some of your stories about the baseball days.
Which story do you want to hear?
A good one.
You choose.
I don't have too many of those, but I do remember one time we were playing at Lowry City on the old diamond, and we were playing this team from Springfield. And my brother got up to swing. He got hit in the head with a baseball and put him
That's the
down.
problem.
Probably.
Now we know the rest of the story.
Probably had a concussion, I suspect. But back then,
Suck it up.
yeah,
Well,
that was a bad situation. One other time, I remember Larry Greenwell. You remember Larry Greenwell? In high school, he was a third baseman in our school team, and I was a catcher. And he was on third, I was catching, the other team was batting. And the guy was on second, on their other team was on second. He was trying to steal third. So I threw the ball down to third. Larry was going to catch it, and the guy slid into his legs, and his head moved, and the ball hit him right in the head. and he didn't play anymore that day. Larry Greenwell. Yeah.
Oh my.
The other one I remember was Bill Greenwell.
Yeah.
Was playing softball, baseball, and he didn't want to wear a mask as a catcher. And you know what happened to him? He got a broken nose.
Oh gosh.
I remember that
Morris,
too.
was that Morris? Larry Morris?
No, Bill Greenwell.
Well, Larry Morris was down here at the ballpark.
This was at school.
Well, Larry, he didn't believe he could catch, and he didn't believe in wearing gloves. And they used to have a ball diamond up here at Dad's field right that corner. And we were practicing one day, and Robert Tompkins was pitching. And Larry Morris gets up there, puts the ball, but right between his hands. Oh my, nose bled all over, and oh, it was a mess. He went home crying. I felt so sorry for him, but he didn't want to be protected, so that's the way
It
it
did
goes.
start right down here in this corner.
Yeah, that's where
Uncle
the
Dan-
ball all started, is
Yeah.
down here,
We
crossing
had a
the,
crowd,
Four
had
corners.
rocks to get over the
had the rocks to
barbed
get over.
wire, and people would
And
come.
the home plate was a
That
rock.
team we had there,
Home plate was a rock too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I do remember.
So,
that
sir,
team
you said you were
that
gonna
put
say
together
something.
Valley Center, there was not too many schools around that could beat us.
No, that's right.
And we had uniforms.
Yeah.
We had uniforms, so that was really pretty unusual.
When
We
I
gave
was
our
in-
uniforms
when I
to
was
the
in
school
high
bus.
school-
Well, Uncle Ferris was a big factor in that
Yeah,
too.
Uncle Ferris was a big factor in it.
Yeah, he played baseball with the Kansas City, back in the Kansas City Blues days.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a catcher, and if you looked at his fingers, you could see where it had been.
Well, Roy caught too, because I saw him
Yeah,
catching
he
it
was.
out in
Roy caught
school.
two, and
Yeah.
then Ron wanted to do it.
This
Roger.
is just a side
He was
note
good-
to the
he was a good catcher.
Pretty good.
We're gonna let
Never broke
Sarah talk for
any
just a second.
Just a side note to the baseball thing, and I swear I can't remember the name of the book, but John Foster, who would be a half-brother to Carol McKay, Foster's grocery store market there in Larry City, he wrote 3 books, and they're about Larry City, and one of them is about baseball. And all of those days when these guys were playing, and how good they were, and about the ball diamond in Larry City, and about Uncle Dan. He was the announcer at the ball games down there. And I know one of the chapters pretty much highlighted Ron and his play, and it talks about him getting up to bat and what he did. But if you go out on Amazon and look for John Foster, those 3 books will pop up. And one of them is about the baseball boys, and a lot of the boys in Valley Center highlighted it, so.
Could I interrupt here for just a second about a young sister here, Sarah, and this little gal sitting here on the end. Of course, they never had to do any chores or anything. And
I'm playing my violin.
so, the social life, I don't know, I was older, and Dad got them a Sunbeam convertible. I don't know if anybody knows what it was. A 2-seat car.
5-speed.
Yeah, 5-speed. Just a little car, a Sunbeam. Oh, I wish I had that car right now. So that was the Birds. I called them the Birds car. And Dad told him you could only drive so many miles a night. You go to Larry and you go somewhere else, you probably run too many miles. Hold still. Hold it at that. Well, guess what? They was pretty smart birds. They was in Larry and said, oh my gosh, we're going to go over on miles. So Sarah was driving, I think. She put it reverse and drove it backwards all the way home, and the number went backwards and they was under the number. Is that right, Sarah?
We went just as many miles forward as we did back.
We were doing that because back in those days, getting your driver's license didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. When your dads needed you to drive for this or that on the farm, you drove.
Yeah.
And so we were driving as soon as our legs were long enough to get to the pedal.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
we would go in town to catch the bus for basketball games, get on the bus to go. Well, you can't go into Larry City without going down to the patio driving. You just can't. So, and
That's all there was.
that's it. So we drive the patio, well, that put us over on miles. Well, you back home and it backs those miles up, so.
Yeah, but sometimes you'd have less miles on it before you left.
Well, and Dad knew all about it because we were backing down Aunt Anna and Uncle Ferris's road, and Aunt Anna would call him and say, well, they just backed by my house.
Yeah, you used to do that a lot. And Larry drive backwards all around until Clyde Keith,
Yeah.
boys, don't take any more miles off, go home now.
So church, I've heard stories about church and uncles that, would take it into their own hands if you were misbehaving.
Grandpa.
Yeah, was it just Grandpa? I thought Alfred did it too, or is it just Grandpa?
Grandpa did the
Grandpa did most of
Me
it.
too.
He did to me the most of it, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Or was it
Because he's the youngest.
What'd you two do?
Kathy and
We sat in
I
front of
were
Grandpa over on that side. He and I did.
Bad idea.
We weren't old enough to sing in the choir yet. We were just little snots running around. We had the
Hands off of me.
misfortune of sitting right in front of Grandpa Neuenschwander. I don't know why we sat there, but it was right in front of him, and he always sat there like this, listening to the sermon. And we sat there the whole time.
We were playing hangman and
and
dodge and dodge.
tic-tac-toe.
You were cheating.
We were giggling and
He probably turned up
laughing.
his
It was hearing aid.
hearing aid.
Yeah, I mean, we had the best time, didn't we? And the minute the church said amen, we felt him grab the back of our collar, the both of us, and he took us outside. He says, "Don't you ever do that again."
I
said,
said,
"Your folks," and I'm
saying
like,
if you ever do that again, I'm gonna whip you if your parents don't.
yes, that's what he said. He was going to whip us, and we never sat in front of him again.
Roy was sitting in front of Mom and Dad in church, and of course there's David's brother, who's a doctor in Denver, Danny, and J.R. Holland. Anyway, they were all sitting together, and every time they'd stop talking, grab each other, their finger was curled like that. and she would thump him in the back of the head. And Roy came in the next day, he said, you know, I got to school, they all thought I had ringworms. I got thumped so many times.
Now, Cindy, do you want to share a story? I know that sometimes you talk about the Christmas and Santa Claus coming to visit later on after church and stuff.
Well, I think I was 18 and I finally figured it out, but we'd always come up to church and Dad would always forget something. And he needed to go back home, and we thought, no big deal. We'd go back home and Santa had been there. And he always came at Christmas Eve at our house because he had so many people to go to on Christmas morning. So anyway, he always tricked us, and I believed it till I was at least 18 or 19. And I still kind of wonder about it myself.
So I have a question. I hear stories about Sue. She's not here with us today.
Good.
But
We can tell her all kinds of stories.
about something about being, they tease her about being the favorite grandchild because she got chocolates. Did anybody else get chocolates from Grandpa?
Did you get chocolates from Grandpa?
Did anybody, because Jean and I,
No.
of course, Grandma and Grandpa were older whenever we were little. And we can remember going to Grandma and Grandpa's, and Grandma would be watching Superman. So it would be, shh, don't talk, And Grandpa would be sitting in his chair reading the paper with the light on next to him. And he'd have a box of Hershey chocolate candy bars there. And he would fold it up and put it back and put it in the little closet there. And we never did get it. And I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, Grandpa's got chocolate. I'd like to have some chocolate. And he never, and the older ones tell us, well, no, that's not so, because they got whatever they wanted at Grandma and Grandpa's, but we didn't.
The
So
only thing I remember getting for Christmas up here was a sack, and it had hard candy and an apple.
yeah,
We still give that.
yeah,
We still do that.
yeah.
Maybe an orange.
Yeah, an orange man.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's an apple.
We'd go up there to Grandma's, me and Judy would go up to Grandma's and Grandma on Sunday afternoon a lot, and we'd play canasta. And Grandma would always keep score, and that woman cheated every game. She won every game.
Yeah.
She won every game, but she just loved to play canasta.
Yes, Judy and I used to do that too.
Yeah.
I just have to think something, Ruth, I've got a bone to pick with you.
What have I done now?
Well, this goes back, you said when you came in from Indiana, you was 5 years old. And so it's been a while, but I still carry the grudge on this deal. Nobody knows about it except me. Dad was over there and I was with him naturally. And I don't know what Dad was doing, but I went in the kitchen there and Grandma was making homemade potato chips. Well, I wasn't sure what they were, and I never had a potato chip in my life, See, he and I really had one, and Sarah and Cindy got it all. But anyway, I said, Grandma, could I have one of those? She said, no. Those are for Alfred's kids, and they'll be in this afternoon. And I'm just a little bitty boy, and I'm going, oh my God, I want a potato chip.
Well, when we moved from Indiana, Uncle Ann and Yvonne came with the big grain truck to haul our furniture back here. And Joe Susan wasn't very big. I don't know how old she was. But she was riding with us in the car. And we were all sitting, us kids were all sitting in the back seat. That was Joe Susan and I. And Pat was a baby. And Joe Susan decided to just reach over, take my arm, and bite it. She bit arm. And I cried and I cried. And so Mother made her sit in the front seat with them. And another thing, when we first moved back, Grandpa decided that he needed to give us a horse ride. And so he went and got Pedro, which was this pinto horse. that my dad rode, so you know how old he was. Anyway, Grandpa and Art and I got on Pedro, and we might have taken 3 or 4 steps and he bucked us all off. So Grandpa got rid of the horse.
Well, we can't go on forever, I know, but let's end on just kind of going down the line, and I just gotta want to hear kind of from each individual, maybe just one of your, like your first memory of most vivid memory of your grandma and grandpa. Let's go start this way. Yes.
Grandma was always a quiet person to me. Grandpa, not so much quiet, but he called us all sweetie. And I can remember him, I don't care which one of us granddaughters was in front of him, he called you sweetie.
You can call me sweetie.
Well, that's because you were.
Sure.
All right, Larry.
I know, yeah.
Grandma was always better than Grandpa all the time, and that we walk home from school and Grandma always had either homemade bread or snitch broke in the third drawer down on the right-hand side of the sink. And I'd come home from school and walk by there and I'd stop in at Grandma's. I'd holler, "Grandma, you home?" "Yeah, you know where it's at." I'd go over there and get me a slice of snitch broke and walk on home with that. And I'd done that time and time again, and helped Grandpa make lye soap and stuff with that big old kettle down there in the washroom and that, and like I say, we was up there playing cards with Grandma and that, but I was asked not to come in the house for a month. Grandma told me, well, she didn't ask me, she told me not to come in again. And that I found the black snake on the way home, and I caught him, and he wrapped around my arm, and I went and knocked on the door. "Grandma, it's me." She said, "Well, you know where it's at." And I said, "Look what I got. Get out of here and don't come back." And I didn't come back. She said, "Don't come back for a month." And I didn't come back for a month. But then she got over it, and I got my snitch broke back again and that. But Grandma was scared of snakes.
I sure
All
took
right,
the wrong
Jace.
route home.
I can remember Grandpa had a strawberry patch, and I wasn't very old. Oh, man, I wasn't very old, but the rest of yous were, and we were picking strawberries, and you older ones, I don't remember who it was, went to throwing strawberries.
When Grandpa wasn't looking.
And when Grandpa wasn't looking, but he was looking because he come out of the house, and I can remember it was just like silence. There was just nobody said a thing, and he said, "Don't throw any more strawberries." And I mean, everybody was down picking strawberries, and that was it. And I never will forget that because I thought, oh my gosh.
And that wasn't a
One
small
time somebody hit him.
strawberry
No,
patch.
no.
It was a big one.
Yeah.
He was out there picking one time with us, and Joan was out there. I picked up a rotten one and threw it at Joan, hit her in the head, in the back of the head. And Grandpa happened to see it leave my hand and hit her in the back of the head. He said, "I want to see butts in the airs." We never raised up, we picked berries the rest of the day.
I don't believe that. She still threw him.
All right, Jim, your turn.
Oh. Well, probably the more interesting story for me was Mom, when there was a birthday party or something down at Grandpa and Grandma's house, we'd go down there and I'd go down with them. Well, I went down with them when I was probably about 10 years old, and it was dark. I knew he had strawberries out there. So I went out to the strawberry patch so that for about an hour I ate strawberries. And so, you know, I never got to go back there again. That's exactly what happened.
Did you get a bellyache?
No, they were right.
Oh.
You could smell them.
All right, Bob.
Well, Grandpa and Grandma, when I think of them, I think of Grandpa Neuenschwander as a very stern, God-fearing man, and he's like a patriarch. I called him the patriarch of Valley Center. People looked up to him. What should we do here, that, all that kind of stuff. Well, he had tremendous energy, I guess. I'm not sure at what age. Daybreak, you're talking about the strawberry patch. At daybreak, he's out there picking strawberries. And I'd go in with Dad maybe during the day or whatever, and Grandma and Aunt Helen and I don't know. Under the arbor, there was all these tomatoes, and they was canning. It was just unbelievable what they did. But I remember Ruth. She was oldest. I wasn't real big, but none of us was very big. Now, we couldn't do anything. We was playing, and we got a salt shaker, and each of us got a tomato. And we went out there where you pull in. There was some old machinery sitting there. And we sat there and we salted and eat that tomato, and we thought it was the top of the world. It didn't get any better than that.
That's right.
Yeah. Hard work. Yeah. I love both of them.
All right, Kathy.
Well, we, didn't live quite as close, don't have as many personal stories. Nobody made bread or used to
Or chocolates.
Oh, we didn't see them. Mom always gave Grandma one of her permanents, so I'd usually go with her. We'd go down there and they'd be a Tony or whatever, and that was always kind of an interesting little day. But Judy and I used to play cards with Grandma too. She was sweet. And Grandpa, they had a parakeet. I know you guys probably remember that. And Grandpa would read the paper or read the Bible, and that parakeet would be sitting on the edge of his glasses. And he didn't care. That was the cutest thing, but
Oh, that's
they were
interesting. I've never
special.
heard that story.
Yeah,
So.
that's it right there. They had a parakeet
Until Speedy ran
Remember?
it, flew
Yeah.
to the mirror.
Did he?
Could I add to that? It brought up a little deal for me. Roy Hildy. He'd come down, he'd sit, kind of barrel chested and, threw that lip out. And, he was the man. Well, we had a parakeet and it talked. It said, "I'm a Democrat."
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I'm a Democrat.
And he flew up on Roy and got on his bimbo rolls right there, was nibbling on his lip, and he said, "I'm a Democrat." And I thought Roy killed him. It didn't hurt him.
True story, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that parakeet did say that.
I had heard that one. Ron.
Well, every time I was down at Grandma's, which was not very often, she was very sweet. I tried to avoid Grandma because he was wanting to put you to work. So I never really, he did take us to college once when he was going to MFA, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But the best story that I want to tell though today is about my mom. I know Jim and I used to come home and give her we used to kid her a lot. And as you said a while ago, we met with our neighbors and kinfolks much more. I recall one time we were in Lowry City when my folks got off the farm, moved to Lowry City, they had a party. And one of Mom's good buddies was Esther Tompkins. And your mother too. And Howard was there as well. So Howard and Esther started to move out and go home. And Howard said something to Mom like, "Boy, that you did a lot of crazy things." And she said, "If you believe all those stories, you're dumber than I thought you were." I don't think she meant it that way. You know what I mean? He just
She
looked,
did stuff like that.
Jim and I looked.
He just kind of shook his head and they walked on.
Anyway, yeah, that was it. That was funny.
It was our 50th anniversary.
Yeah, was it?
We got it down at their house.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Ruth Ann.
Well, Grandma was
Oh, yeah.
always very nice to me, and she trying to teach me things, and she was trying to teach me to sew on her kettle sewing machine. And I was getting along pretty good until I ran the needle through my finger, right beside my fingernail.
That hurt?
No, it didn't even hurt, it didn't even bleed. But grandma was beside herself, and so she ran back to her house, because we were over at Mother's, and she said, the only thing she could find was some Listerine, so she poured some in a glass and had me put my finger in there. So that sort of ended the sewing lesson.
Come to an abrupt stop. All right, yeah.
Well, mine's kind of an extension of the card playing with Grandma and not Grandpa. But at the very beginning, we kind of, not ever after church every Sunday, but we would go to Grandma's and we would, the 4 kids and grandkids, we would eat there. And always in the afternoon, the grandkids and Grandma, we had card tables set up, we were having the biggest time playing cards. And Grandpa was sitting over there with, behind the newspaper with his parakeets and everything. And it really got to him. My dad told me this story, and he didn't think playing cards was right religiously. We shouldn't be doing it. It was kind of sinful. So he asked Reverend Stillwell, he said, my grandkids and my wife are playing cards every Sunday afternoon at the house, and he says, I just don't think they should be doing that. And Reverend Stillwell thought for a minute. He says, I think it's just fine. But he never would play. He didn't care after that as Grandma did, but he never would play cards.
Oh, interesting.
The story I heard was that you'd go over to the Kloss farm if you wanted to play cards. They made their own cards, and the Neuenschwanders were welcome.
All right, Cindy.
Well, the only thing I can think about is Grandpa Neuenschwander. He used to come over on Sunday, and my dad would make Deanne play piano. Grandpa would keep that songbook right up here, 2 inches from his nose, and sing in German all afternoon.
1 page at a time.
1 page, every time. And I remember that, and I was a little kid then, because we weren't very old when he passed away, really. But I do remember that, and Grandma was always very sweet. But I want to say something about Aunt Anna when she got older, and her memory was kind of going places, and I'd come over on Wednesday nights, and she'd play the piano and sing and whatever. We'd do things like that. Well, if I said something, sometimes she would remember it, and we could say it again. So one night I just said, boy, we sure need some rain. And Aunt Anna just looked so funny, and she says, why would you worry about that? The good Lord always gives it to us, doesn't he? And I thought, well, now, who's thinking wrong? Is it me or her? But she was always really good about that, and always was so sweet and nice. All my aunts and uncles, I could tell stories on each one of them, and I loved each one of them in so many different ways. They all brought different things to the plate. I remember when Dad was at home, and he would work with his brothers and his brother-in-laws, and they would, put up silage, or they'd do the hay, or if they were working on some sort of equipment or whatever. Or they borrowed equipment from each other. It was an extension of their own things. I think back then it was a wonderful time to grow up in.
We were raised by a village. We truly were.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest gifts of that is we all grew up a mile as the crow flies from each other, and everybody had a big family.
At one time, Valley Center School, every student in there was cousins. Every one, the whole school. And then the Mitchells moved in, and they had a boy and a girl, and they was outsiders. But
Betty and Ron.
Pardon?
Betty and Ron Mitchell.
Yeah,
They
that's
were in
right.
school.
Yeah.
Betty, me and Pat was the only one in our class. Me and Pat. And I tell my kids, I was salutatorian for 4 minutes. And then Betty moved in up there and kicked me out real fast. Cindy, I want to congratulate you on doing your work that you're doing now. Instead of helping Kathy fix hay and raking and doing all this stuff, you know what?
Kathy talked
You
to
found
me.
your calling, didn't you? Didn't she, Kathy?
She did.
She did. She
Come over
did.
every Wednesday night, and I'd usually be out, after junior night, I'd be out doing stuff. And she'd go in there, and she'd fix Mom a little supper. She'd piddle around with her.
Well,
and
tell
just-
about when she's put the rake teeth on.
Yeah, I've got a few stories like that.
I didn't put the right teeth on.
We've all got some stories about her. but we can't tell them.
Kathy asked me if she was gonna put some new rake teeth on, whatever that is, and I thought, I've never
I
used a
didn't want to
ratchet.
put all new rake teeth.
I
I only
didn't-
wanted the two broken.
Well, I didn't, you should have been more clearly.
She took them
I
all
mean,
off,
I had
and
never
turned
used a
around,
ratchet
they were on the
before, and I
ground.
took everything off, and I laid them so neatly, and I said, hey, I'm done, and she goes, oh, don't do them all, and I said, oh, it's way too late. And that whole rake just went, whoa.
Those squeal rakes, you can't really put the thing on by yourself. I had to get David Hilton the next day.
I thought I'd done so good, I'm so pleased with myself.
One night, I was over at the Clary place mowing hay, and it was dark, and she had taken care of Graham and did all that, and she was supposed to come pick me up in the truck, in
In your
the
truck.
3/4 ton truck. And it was dark, and she wasn't there yet, and I was sitting on the tractor just enjoying, the evening. It was nice weather, and all of a sudden I hear, and then I heard like a little gravel, and that means I figured she was at Park Grove. And then the highway, and then I heard, she missed the road. I'm not kidding you. And she backed that up in the dark like that.
See,
and
us
I
backing
heard-
home from town. We were good
And
backers.
here she came to get me. And then we ate out tacos with,
Kathy says, I've had that truck 5 years, and it's never squalled its tires. That's what I'm here to tell you, we'll do it.
she's so short, it was kind of hard for her not to, I
Well,
guess.
The reason I was late was because I was feeding those silly calves of yours. I never fed a calf. And a goose and slobbery all over you. I never seen such a thing. But I put her trash in the middle of the drive because I was going to take it on down to the trash bin. And Ruth Carblow come driving in. Well, Ruth wasn't driving very good then. In fact, when she walked, she had a rope tied to her left foot, and she'd walk and she'd go like this. she was driving.
Steering wheel.
Yeah, and it kind of scared me a little bit. But anyway, she come in and she ran over that trash, and went, across, and she goes, did I run over something? And I said, no, Ruth, you didn't run over anything. Well, I just want you and Kathy to know I got some apples up there. You can have all the apples you want. I said, thank you, Ruth. She backed out and tried to gather all that trash up and put it in there. Well, then it was getting dark, and that's when I was
She in a hurry.
in a hurry.
She was a big joy to my mom, I really.
Well, I want to thank you guys for sitting up here and putting up with us and telling us some stories, because it's stuff that needs to be passed down and heard, and so thanks. I'm glad you guys were here. I'm sad that we're missing a few, because there was a few stories I wanted to ask some
Make
others.
a very good MC.
Yeah.
Absolutely, very good.
So I think we should come to a close, but just fun to be part of this crazy family. It's fun to hear you laugh and share your stories, because it just doesn't happen all the time like this. So
And some of them are even true.
so thank you guys.
You got
I
one.
think I might have been the only grandkid that was alive at the time, but when we first moved back here, we were living with our grandpas. And I was kind of Art's shadow after school. That's why we moved back here, we got started at school. So the evening egg picking was part of my chores. And every time when we come back to the house, very seldom we ever make it clear to the door before great-grandma was tapping on the window. That was Arthur Lee's cue that grandma needed something. And a week before that, I'd been in the house with her, and I noticed she had that little organ sitting there against the wall. And I asked her if I could play it. Yeah, sure. So I started pecking around on it. Come home from school one day, we went and did our chores, came back, and she pecked on the window, and Arthur Lee went to the door. And he turned right back around with the biggest grin on his face and walked over to me and said, "Dad, you're a cheat."
Lucky you.
She wanted me to go in there and play the organ for her. She had arthritis, bad she couldn't play the organ anymore.
So,
I didn't
So
know
did
nothing
you even
about
know how to
music.
play?
Huh?
Did you even know how to play? No. Oh,
so are you the oldest great-grandchild, Clay? I lose track.
Yeah.
You're the oldest one.
How old are you, Clay?
49 and a half.
49 and a half.
I can remember great grandma giving us a bath in that bathtub back there when we lived over there. She left to go do something, and she came back in there and said, "Bucky, you can't seem to get out of the tub." She's like, "Where's the soap?" Oh, she had Dove soap. Well, we left it in the tub. It just melted away. I can't leave the soap in the tub.
all right, well, this concludes our afternoon of question and answer.
We need to thank Sean for doing
Yes.
this too.
Yes, Sean.
Don't say for work. Jim, we live 80. There's a hole in this
How
floor
about
board.
Ron and Jim peeing out the window and rusting the screen on the windows? Just
You be
saying.
careful, you be careful.
The feathers out of the pillows, the feathers out of the pillows would come down the stairway, would open up the stairway, the door, and here the feathers would just come, Jim and Ron had been in the pillow.
If there was, they'd climb that windmill, and if there was ducks on any of those ponds, that was this season. They would go shoot all these animals, and
And I
then
gotta
they'd
tell
bring
you,
them back and go to the
whenever
field,
you
and
were-
we'd have, Mom and I would
Wasn't
pick
it
them.
Jim that
They made
flew over
pillows out of them.
went over the house
Maybe once.
real low and scared the cows?
24 mallards once.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was you? Cause I can remember Daddy thinking, I'm gonna get, there's, Jim Shy is, and the milk cows just went everywhere, and he said, we won't get milk for a week. Scared them to
Always
death.
fine.
Well, I don't know, Jane, but I am very positive that I didn't, I know you didn't, I know Cindy didn't, Jean didn't. We don't hold a candle to what
Oh,
you guys
no,
pull
no,
off.
no.
Not a candle.
No, we
On the
don't.
4th of July,
We
drove
were
down to Larry,
angels and
we were in
princesses.
Art's car. And
Larry was there.
Ron and Dave and I were in the back seat. And I forgot who was in front with Art.
Is that what David threw the M80 and fell
David threw the
I was
F-8,
there.
it hit, it.
The windows was closed.
And the window, what,
Yeah,
hit
the window was closed. He didn't know
it hit that centerpiece, because it's a four-door car, it hit the centerpiece and bounced back on the floor. And David had these big old country work shoes. He was stomping that thing off and it went.
You were too, everybody was stomping.
They were all stomping really hard and it went off and there was this hole in the bottom of the car.
We took slingshots, drive up and down Main Street in Larry
And Sullivan, Lane.
them guys was up on top with slingshots in the M80s, and we was actually having a war shooting the M80s at everybody.
They ran into a railroad car.
I never did any.
And pulled it shut. And so we took this big long package, 120 firecrackers, big ones, lit the end of it, threw it in there and held the door shut. And they were in there and those things were banging around on them. And we had quite a time. That was a lot of fun.
It's really lucky that I'm even alive, because Bob would actually pay me a penny, 1 penny, if I would touch the electric fence. And I did it over and over. I did a penny every time.
I think I would have quit the first time I touched it.
I'm sizzled up here.
Well, she really looks good with an egg busted in her pocket, too. It was real nice.
Now,
I don't know who did it.
I hear stories sometimes of like when you're putting up the hay that you guys, there was turns being taken at who prepared lunch. And I hear
Oh,
stories
let me
about
tell
that,
ya.
some of the favorite places to visit.
We'd always have two meats. Mom would always have ham and fried chicken or roast and whatever. And she
Fried
wanted to up the one before, and we had homemade rolls, we had noodles, and somebody else made 2 cobblers instead of 1, I mean, it was always a competition, I think, with the sisters-in-laws.
of them, yeah.
We
Let's
used
do a
to
lot of
have
pies.
a lot of chicken when we was at Uncle Alfred and Aunt Helen's. I told the kids and that, I said, they had dead chickens die every day, and that's what we had for dinner. And Aunt always had ham. Most of the time, we had ham up at Uncle Ferris when he
Always had
ate
pie.
up there. And that. Uncle
was
Ferris
hard.
was a great person, you know what?
Yes,
He was, and Uncle
was
Alfred,
kind of in the
and
background
Uncle
all the
Amos,
time when
Uncle-
it-
you know, all them guys molded half of what I am today in that. Uncle Alfred, or Uncle Amos, made jigsaw and helped me build that barn that I got there now. And that he put the jigsaw out for the rafters. I made all them rafters, and Tom had a wrecker, and I made a big long boom for it. And we went up 25 feet in the air and set
Set 'em
them
in.
rafters on the poles. And Chris Rodeball was on the other end, and Uncle Amos was walking the 2x4 on top. Nailing it. Are they lined up, boys? We said, yeah, they're lined up. We was holding on for dear life and nailing the ends, and he was just standing up there doing, just doing his thing and that. He scared the daylights out of me though one time in a silo, over there in silo, and he put that wire cage around the top and
Oh,
went up
yeah.
another about 6 feet. And he said, you'll stay up here with me, won't you? Yeah, Uncle, I'll stay up here and we'll pack her down and that, no problem. And then it come time to get down, and there wasn't a ladder. There wasn't a ladder that 6 feet.
Oh, I know.
And just that wire. Oh, man, I said, I'm never going up here again, Uncle. I'm not doing it.
I did it one time. You see, Dad, Alfred, Ferris, and Dad, every other year they bought a new chopper together.
Yeah.
And probably a cutter too. I'm not sure. I mean, whatever. But they had their wagons and stuff. But they kept new equipment, and they filled everybody's silo.
Dad told me once, he said, Jim, he said, it's in the fall, he said, those Canadian geese just landed out there
Oh, boy.
in Sorghum Field. And Ron, he said, why don't you and Ron out there and see if you can get some. So we had a 10 gauge, that 10 gauge we talked about.
Yeah.
A 12 gauge pump gun, and I kind of forgot who what, but we got over there, it was at Sorghum Field, where County's Hunter Tower. It's a field just to the west of there, and it's back in that field, and there's terraces in there, so we crawled behind the terraces. Those big boogers, there's probably 400 of them, and they could hear us. And so we'd move a little bit, and they'd move away. It got to be about 5 o'clock, getting dark, 5:30, because they would start milking.
Yeah, we
And
did.
so we started, right. Anyway, we started, there's our, anyway. Anyway, we shot into them once and broke one's wing. So they all flew off, they landed in one of Dad's ponds about a quarter mile away. And so we had to go bring that sucker, and it was taller than Ron and I. He stood up, big old goose, rang his neck.
Taller than both of us?
Either one of us. Either one of us. But anyway, we got him rung and killed.
That's a big goose.
And then we crawled up on the pond bank, and they were right in the center. All of them. Hundreds of them. And so we fired into them, and Dad brought the wagon up, and we killed 18 and that one other, 19 that day. Anyway, we got back home,
Sure, it was
and
nice.
we unloaded the wagon that Dad had gone up in, and Mom said, well, boys, you're gonna have some fun. I don't know, there's feathers flying everywhere with those three. Remember that, Ron? It was really a long time. About 3 years later, we were having Neuenschwanders up, uncles and aunts up for goose dinner. And they finished off those big goose. They ate 3 that day. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, you remember Roy Hildy, he had turkeys, raised turkeys there on the
He
hill.
slept out in the field with them to keep the coyotes out of them.
Yeah, they slept up there, somebody slept with them.
Danny did.
And Roy and Alice went somewhere, I have no idea. So Dave was up there, he had the feed the turkeys, watch them, milk the cows, et cetera, et cetera. He said, hey, Bob, why don't you come up and spend the evening night with me? Oh, I said, oh, sure, you know. So, we got everything done but milking, and he said, there was rabbits everywhere. The 160 there, right down here. Got that Jeep. Dave was driving, and I had the 22 sitting up on the fender, and we took turns. And those rabbits get up in the light. Phew. I can't tell you how many rabbits we killed. It was a bunch. So we go back up to the house. He said, well, I gotta go milk the cows. I guess you need to clean these. I don't think kill another rabbit the rest of the time.
One more funny chicken, and I was just a little snip running around, and I got this pet rooster, and his name was Junior, and he didn't like anybody except me. He would flog Bob, he'd flog Mom, flog Dad. I'd go out there and pet him and play with him every day. So one day I couldn't find him anywhere, and so that night we had supper, and we had chicken for supper. And I said, where's Junior? I haven't seen him all day. And Bob goes, you're eating him. Just like that, you're eating him.
I know, my
Roosters get pretty rowdy, don't they?
They liked me. We had a good, Bob was probably the one.
We had a rooster out there in the chicken lot, and Deb would go out there, and that thing would just chase her all over everywhere. And that Mom went out there with a 2x4, and he didn't chase her anymore. She got mad at him.
Bob, we raised some geese down there, and there was a pet that Bob had. I mean, it was just, a really good pet. It guarded her and everything. And Ben Hildy came over, parked there, and the gate going into the barn lot there. Dad was on the other side, and Ben just comes up to the gate, kind of leans on it. That old gander came up. Whop! Got him right there. And I want to tell you what, things started happening pretty quick. Woo!
When John and Joan were, I don't know, they were in high school yet or not, but our cousin Gary came over, Gary Jenkins, and the three of them were just, goofing around on Sunday afternoon. And they decided to go to the chicken house and catch a chicken. And they took it down to the horse barn, which had the big loft in it, and they tied that chicken on a string and, made it fly. Oh. And they kept doing that. They were trying to hang the chicken. Well, all they did was make the chicken's neck grow. He got real long. And they decided they better stop that. So they took the chicken off the string and put it back in the chicken house. And my dad found it, and he thought he had some kind of disease, and he had to medicate him. And they didn't tell him about it. About it. They were entertaining themselves.
Well, I want to say one more thing. The church uses Uncle Alfred's ice cream maker to turn the 5-gallon ice cream freezer, and that he rigged up a long time ago. Gears, reduction gears and stuff and that, and they're old square bolts, square nuts on them and that, and he's got his bubble gum, he always called it where he welded. There's spots here and there and yonder, but they're still holding, and we bring that thing up here and it makes 10, 15 gallon every year when we make ice cream and that. Just plug it in, and he made the pulley. It's a wooden pulley, and he made it the right size to fit, to reduce it down so the ice cream wouldn't turn fast and that, just like you was hand cranking it, and that old wooden pulley's just as good as the day he made it. It's quite a deal.
Well, he went to diesel mechanic school in San Francisco when he was out west before the folks got married. He had a lot of knowledge that way, and he couldn't get in the service in the Second World War because he was flat-footed. So that's the reason we moved to Indiana. He went to work for DuPont because they made ammunition. And he was helping put in the turbines and all the stuff they needed, you know. Well, he and his co-worker decided they were doing the bathroom. And they decided that instead of flushing down, he would flush up. And who should come in but their boss?
Oh, dear.
And he went to the bathroom.
That was a surprise.
They didn't say a word, so they didn't get fired.
I'm sure he was surprised.
Well, thank you, staff.
All right, thank you guys.
Can we have everybody kind of move together so we have a picture?
No.
Do you guys mind?